Hey warriors, welcome to Empowerment in Illness, where strength grows, where support thrives. I'm Gwen, and today we're getting personal, powerful, and real. It's May, which means it's Lupus Awareness Month, and May 10th is International Lupus Day. So we're dedicating this entire episode to one question that needs way more attention. What is lupus? Now, before you skip ahead thinking, I already know what lupus is, hold on. Because today, we're not just talking about a definition. We're talking about what it feels like, how it shows up, what it steals, what it teaches, and most of all, how we fight back. I'll also be answering real questions from our TikTok community and sharing some of my own story. If you live with lupus, love someone who does, or just want to understand it better. So let's get this train moving. So what is lupus really? Let's start simple and build from there. Lupus is an autoimmune disease. That means your immune system, your body's defense system, gets confused and starts attacking your own healthy tissues, thinking they're foreign invaders. It's kind of like your body's security system going haywire. It's supposed to go after the bad guys like bacteria and viruses, but instead, it targets your skin, your joints, your kidneys, your lungs, your brain, really, just about anything. There are several types of lupus, but the most common, by far, is systemic lupus erythemosis, or SLE. That's the one I live with, and the one most people are talking about when they say lupus. Throughout this episode, I will answer questions from the TikTok community. And here's the first question from India 2024. What is lupus? This is the answer I like to describe it. Imagine your immune system as a guard dog. Its job is to protect the house. But in lupus, that dog gets confused. It starts barking at your family, biting your friends, chewing up the furniture. It forgets who it's supposed to protect. That's lupus. And depending on where the attack lands, you can have totally different experiences from the next person. That's part of what makes lupus so hard to diagnose and so hard to treat. Can lupus kill you? Yes. It can be life-threatening if it attacks major organs like kidneys, brains, or heart. But with proper treatment, monitoring, and support, many people live for decades with lupus. It's not a death sentence. It's a battle. And you learn to fight smart. There's a question from Lozelle_M. Is lupus contagious? Nope, not at all. You can't catch lupus. It's not a virus or bacteria. It's an internal issue with the immune system, and it's likely triggered by a combination of genetics, hormones, and environmental factors. You're born with the potential for it, and something flipped the switch. Now, lupus isn't just one disease. It comes in four main forms. SLE, systemic lupus erythemosis, the most common type affecting multiple organs. Cutaneous lupus erythemosis primarily affects the skin. You may hear terms like discoid lupus or subacute cutaneous lupus. These often show up as red, scaly, or corn-shaped rashes, especially after sun exposure. There's drug-induced lupus, caused by certain medication like hydralazine or procainamide. Thankfully, this usually goes away once the medication is stopped. The last one is neonatal lupus, a rare form affecting newborns of mothers who carry specific autoantibodies. I want to focus on something here. Lupus doesn't look the same for everyone, and I mean that literally and emotionally. Some people have visible rashes. Others look completely healthy on the outside, but are battling internal inflammation that's wrecking their organs. Some have mild symptoms. Others are in and out of the hospital. That's why lupus is often called the great imitator. It mimics other disease. It hides, it tricks doctors, and it makes patients feel like they're imagining it all. I've heard from so many of you who said, I went to 6 doctors before someone even mentioned lupus. That delay is exhausting, and honestly, it's dangerous. If you've been through this diagnostic maze, if you're still waiting for answers, I want you to know I see you. You're not making it up. You're not alone. And there's hope, even in the not knowing. Let's get into the signs. What does lupus feel like? What are the symptoms? Well, I always say lupus is like a body-wide glitch. It's not just one part of you misfiring. It's many parts, and they don't all flare up at once. It's kind of like a light show. You never know which lights are going to flicker next. Some of the most common symptoms include deep fatigue, not just tiredness, but bone-deep exhaustion, joint pain and swelling, skin rashes, especially the butterfly-shaped rash across the nose and cheeks, fever that comes and goes, photosensitivity, sunlight literally making your symptoms worse, hair thinning or hair loss, mouth or nose sores, chest pains when you breathe, that's called pleurisy, brain fog where your memory, concentration, or just thinking goes fuzzy. But here's the catch. These symptoms often come and go. One day, you feel almost normal. The next, you're in bed for days. That's why it's so hard for other people and sometimes even doctors to understand. Lupus isn't consistent. It's a moving target. Now, let's talk about the less common but more dangerous symptoms. Kidney involvement, called lupus nephritis, inflammation around the heart or lung, neurological issues like seizures, migraines, and mood swings, blood disorders, anemia, clotting problems, GI issues or vasculitis, Raynaud phenomenon, fingers and toes turning white or blue in the cold. And here's the kicker. Lupus mimics a lot of other diseases. Fibromyalgia, rheumatoid arthritis, multiple sclerosis, even anxiety and depression. The great imitator. I cannot tell you how many people have written to me saying, I thought I was losing my mind. Doctors told me this was just stress. That's the reality for many lupus warriors. The symptoms are real, but they're often dismissed, especially if you're a woman, especially if you're black or brown, especially if you look okay on the outside. Let's pause and hear from the community again. Here's a question from It's Just Me _sis95. Why did it take so long to get diagnosed? This is unfortunately very common. On average, it can take 4 to 6 years to get a lupus diagnosis. Why? Because the symptoms overlap with so many other conditions. There's no single test that confirms it. And let's be real, many doctors still aren't trained to look for lupus unless it's textbook obvious. It takes a combo of lab results, symptoms, and medical history, and sometimes advocacy. Yours. Another question from Glow with Grace. Can lupus cause weight gain or hair loss? Yes to both. Lupus itself can cause hair thinning or loss, especially around the temples and crown. But the meds, especially steroids like prednisone, can also contribute to weight gain, swelling, and changes in fat distribution. It's not vanity, it's biological, and it's hard. Question from Just Want Answers. Is lupus always visible? No, and that's one of the hardest parts. Most people with lupus don't look sick. The rash may come and go. The pain and fatigue don't show up on the outside. That invisibility can be both a blessing and a burden because people might not believe you're struggling. Let's talk about diagnosis for a moment. There's no single test that says you have lupus. Instead, doctors rely on a combination of symptoms and lab tests. You've probably heard of an ANA test, anti-nuclear antibodies. That's usually the first sign something is up with your immune system. But ANA can be positive in other conditions too, so it's not definitive by itself. Other tests include anti-dsDNA or anti-Smith antibodies, CBC to check for anemia or low white blood cells, urinalysis to check kidney functions, complement levels, ESR or CRP to detect inflammation. Then there's the classification criteria from the American College of Rheumatology. A doctor typically looks for at least 4 out of the 11 criteria to even suspect lupus. And even then, it's a clinical diagnosis, meaning it's partly based on judgment, not just data. That's why it can be so exhausting. You're collecting puzzle pieces while trying to stay upright. You're Googling labs at midnight. You're journaling symptoms while managing daily life. And sometimes, even after a diagnosis, you still don't feel believed. All right, warriors, let's shift gears. We've talked about what lupus is, what it does, and how it hides. Now, I want to talk about what it's like to live with lupus every single day. Because lupus isn't something that shows up in a doctor's chart. It's in your mornings, your body, your thoughts, your relationships. And for most of us, it's in the adjustments we've made to make simple functions. Let me paint you a picture. You wake up, your body feels like it's been hit by a truck. Your joints ache, your head is pounding, your eyes are dry. And even though you just slept 8 hours, well, for some of us, it's 4 hours, you feel like you didn't sleep at all. That's a lupus morning. You get up and try to move around, but your energy is like a drained phone battery. You start the day on 20%. You haven't even gotten dressed yet. Fatigue isn't just being tired. It's that bone-deep, soul-deep exhaustion that makes lifting your arms feel like a task. It's the kind of tired sleep doesn't fix. And no, you can't push through it. Trust me, we've all tried. Then there's the pain. Sometimes sharp, sometimes dull, sometimes radiating through your entire body like your nerves are screaming. There are days where even brushing your hair hurts. Days where walking, cooking, standing in the shower, they all take planning. And let's not talk about sun sensitivity. For a lot of us, even a short walk in the sun can cause a flare. Your skin burns faster, rashes pop up, you feel dizzy, and your whole body rebels. So we wear long sleeves in the summer, hats in the shade. We carry umbrellas in the sun. Not because we're delicate, but because we're smart. We're protecting ourselves. And here's another question. From Jazara Jahan. How do you manage fatigue while working? Pace, plan, prioritize. I live by those 3 P's. Pace yourself. Break tasks into smaller chunks. Plan your energy. Schedule the hardest task during the most alert time of day. Prioritize what matters. Sometimes we have to wait, and that's okay. Also, communicate. If you have an employer who's open, talk to them about accommodations. Flexible hours, rest break, or working from home when needed. The ADA is on your side. She also wants to know what food makes lupus worse. While food triggers varies, many of us find that sugar, processed foods, gluten, dairy, and high sodium meals can increase inflammation. I personally had to cut back on a lot, including things I used to love. You may want to keep a food journal and track what your body reacts to. Anti-inflammatory eating is your friend. Another question from the Jasmine Garden 0. Does exercise hurt or help lupus? Great question. The answer is both. During a flare, rest is crucial. But on calmer days, gentle movement can actually help with stiffness, circulation, and mood. Think walking, swimming, stretching, or yoga. Don't push it. Listen to your body, not your guilt. Now, let's talk about routines. Morning routines for people with lupus often include slowly warming up joints before getting out of bed, meds and supplements, gentle stretching or heat packs, hydration. Yes, drink that water. Midday is usually survival mode. You might have a good few hours. Use them wisely. Then comes the crash. Nap if needed. Don't feel bad about it. Rest is part of the healing. Evenings, that's when symptoms often ramp up again. Swelling increases. The fatigue hits differently. Brain fog might return. And for many, sleep is broken. So insomnia becomes another layer to manage. I want to say something clearly. You are not lazy. You are not unreliable. You are adapting to a chronic condition that requires constant negotiations. That is strength, not weakness. I used to push through all the time. I used to say yes to everything because I didn't want to disappoint anyone, including myself. I thought resting made me less strong, but lupus taught me something powerful. Rest is resistance. Rest is a strategy. Rest is survival. The world may not adjust for you, but you can adjust for yourself. And in that adjustment, you take your power back. Feel your body. Thank it, even if it hurts. It's still fighting for you. Let's talk about treatment, because once you finally get that lupus diagnosis, the next big question becomes, now what? The truth? There's no cure for lupus yet. But there are treatments that can help reduce inflammation, minimize damage to organs, and help you live a more stable, less painful life. That's the goal. Stability, not perfection. The most common lupus medication you'll hear about is hydroxychloroquine, also known by the brand name Plaquenil. This is a disease-modifying drug that helps calm the immune system. It was originally used for malaria, but it becomes a cornerstone for lupus care. I take it every day. Many of us do. So here's the good. It helps prevent flares. It can reduce skin symptoms and joints. It has a long safety history. The caution? It can cause eye changes over time, so yearly eye exams are essential. It may cause GI issues in some people, and it takes weeks or even months to really kick in. Then there's prednisone. Let's talk about the steroid in the room. Prednisone is a powerful anti-inflammatory drug, and it works fast. When you're in a flare and your kidneys are inflamed or your lungs are in trouble, it can feel like a miracle, but it's also a double-edged sword. Side effects of long-term steroid use include weight gain, moon face, mood swings, high blood pressure, insomnia, increased infection risk, osteoporosis, blood sugar issues. I've been on prednisone for many years, and honestly, I have a love-hate relationship with it. It gets me through the worst of the worst, but it comes at a cost. And I've had to grieve that. That's something people don't talk about enough, the grief of medication side effect. Let's take another question from Roman Reigns 01724. Is it okay to stop meds when I feel better? Please don't stop any lupus medication without talking to your doctor. Feeling better is usually a sign the medication is working, not that the disease is gone. Lupus is sneaky. If you stop meds too soon, you can trigger a major flare, and sometimes that flare causes lasting damage. It's not worth the risk. Question from Britt Rose 3. What are the side effects of hydroxychloroquine? The most talked about concern is retinal toxicity, meaning changes in your vision or eye health after long-term use. That's why ophthalmologists recommend yearly retinal exams. Some people also report nausea, skin discoloration, or fatigues when starting it. But for many, the benefits outweighs the risk. Another question from Comedy Love 02. Are there natural treatments for lupus? Yes and no. There's no natural cure, but some people find relief from complementary approaches like anti-inflammatory diets, omega-3 supplements, turmeric, acupuncture, gentle yoga, or stress-reducing techniques. But please, always talk to your rheumatologist before mixing herbs with medication. Some herbs interfere with liver enzymes or immune activity. Let's talk about immunosuppressants. These are medications that intentionally weakens your immune system to stop it from attacking your own body. Sounds wild, right? Common ones include Imuran, Celsep, methotrexate, and Cytoxan. These are serious drugs. They often come with fatigue, increased infection risk, and regular blood work. But for people with lupus nephritis, CNS involvement, or severe organ damage, these meds can be life-saving. And then there are the new biologics like Benlysta and Sapinello. These target specific immune cells and have helped some people reduce flares or steroid use. They're expensive and not always covered by insurance, but we finally see innovation in lupus care. I want to take a minute and share something personal. There was a time I had to take 6 different medications every morning just to function. It felt like my day didn't even start until I swallowed a cocktail of pills. I'd stare at them wondering, would this be the day my body finally gets some peace? It took time, trial and error, and a lot of self-advocacy to get to a treatment plan that worked for me. I had to speak up. I had to ask questions. I had to push for options. And I want to remind you, you are allowed to do that. You're not difficult. You're invested in your health. If a medication isn't working, say something. If a side effect is unbearable, tell your doctor. If you feel dismissed, find another provider. You deserve someone who listens. Treatment is not just about medication. It's about care. It's about compassion. It's about building a team that sees you, not just your labs. So when you're managing lupus, think of it like this. You are the CEO of your body. The doctors, they're your consultants. Your meds, your tools. Your rest, your business strategy. You are in charge. Let's have a real conversation now, because lupus isn't just a physical illness. It affects your mind, your mood, your relationship, your identity, and honestly, this part of lupus is just as hard as a physical pain. I think it's harder. Living with an unpredictable, invisible illness can be isolating. You cancel plans, you feel unreliable, you miss birthdays, vacations, meetings, dates. And even when you do show up, part of you wonders if you're fully present because your body is there. But your energy, your comfort, your clarity, those left the room hours ago. Let's talk about grief, because nobody tells you that chronic illness comes with layers of loss. You grieve the version of yourself that could stay up late and laugh without pain. You grieve your old body, your stamina, your ease. You grieve spontaneity, certainty, even trust in your own body. And that's okay. You're allowed to grieve. You're allowed to miss who you were before lupus and still love who you're becoming. Then there's mental health. Lupus is strongly linked to anxiety and depression, not just emotionally, but biologically. Inflammation can impact your brain. Medication like steroids can trigger mood swings, and the trauma of being dismissed, disbelieved, or misunderstood, that builds up. Brain fog can make you feel embarrassed. Fatigue can make you feel defeated. Pain can make you feel angry. And let's not forget fear. Fear flares, hospital visits, organ damage, or even just fear of not being believed. Here's another question from Mass Creation 2. How do I explain lupus to others when they don't understand? I like to keep it simple and say, my immune system is attacking my body, and it affects everything from my energy to my joints, skin, and organs. Some days I'm okay, some days I can't get out of bed. It's unpredictable, and it's invisible, but it's real. You don't owe anyone an essay, but you do deserve understanding. She also asked, what do I do when no one believes me? This one hurts, but here's the truth. Not everyone will get it, and not everyone needs to. The people who matter will listen. You are not here to convince everyone. You're here to take care of yourself. So protect your peace, create boundaries, and find your community like the one we're building here. Question from Hamzy Richie 6. Can I still date or be in a relationship with lupus? Absolutely. Lupus doesn't make you unlovable. It just means you need someone who's willing to love you in real life, not fantasy. Someone who learns your rhythms, supports your limits, and loves you through the flares, not just flowers. Vulnerability doesn't push the right person away. It draws them in. I want to talk about relationships now because lupus changes how we show up in them. Friendships might fade, romantic relationships may be tested. Even family can feel distant when they don't get it. I've had to stop calling because I cancel too often. I've seen the look on someone's face when I say I'm too tired to go out. I've had relationships drift, not because I don't love them, but because my capacity changed and it hurts. But here's what I've learned. The people who are meant for you will adapt with you. They may not fully understand, but they'll try. And trying matters more than knowing. There's one relationship I want to highlight, the one with yourself. This illness forced me to get to know myself again, to slow down, to listen, to forgive myself for needing help, to be softer with my body, more protective of my energy, more selective with my time. That's the relationship that matters most. So if you've been blaming yourself for being too tired, too emotional, too unavailable, stop. You're not too much. You're someone managing too much. And you're doing it with courage, even on hard days. Living with lupus is like walking through a fog with a flashlight that only shows the next few steps. You don't get the full map, but you move forward anyway, slowly, intentionally, powerfully. We've covered a lot in this episode, the science, the symptoms, the meds, the invisible weight, but I want to end this conversation by getting personal, because lupus isn't just a topic for me. It's my reality. It's part of my life. It's in my daily decision, in my limitations, in my strength, and my purpose. I don't always have the words to describe what's happening in my body. For years, I brushed off symptoms. I blamed stress. I downplayed the pain. I thought I just needed to push harder, do better, rest less. But no matter what I did, I couldn't fix the fatigue, the swelling, the brain fog, the flares. When I finally got my diagnosis, it was almost a relief, but also a heartbreak. I felt validated and overwhelmed. The name lupus gave me a label, but it didn't give me a roadmap. I had to create that myself. I had to learn when to rest, when to speak, when to say no. I had to navigate doctors who saw me as a chart, not a person. I had to rebuild my relationship with my body, from something I used to push to something I now protect. And somewhere along the way, I realized I wasn't alone. There were thousands, millions of us living with chronic illness, fighting invisible battles, trying to hold on to joy while navigating pain. That's why I created Empowerment in Illness, not just a podcast, but as a movement, a safe space, a resource, a community, a loud, unapologetic voice saying, you're not alone, you're not weak, and you're not invisible anymore. I want to take a moment and thank all of you who submitted questions. Your curiosity, honesty, and courage made this episode what it is. And I saw comments like, I finally feel seen. I've never heard lupus explained like this. Thank you for speaking what I've been afraid to say. Let me tell you something. That's why I keep showing up for you, for us. Because when we talk about it, we heal just a little more. This month, May, is Lupus Awareness Month. But for most of us, awareness isn't a hashtag, it's our life. So here's what I want you to know. Awareness isn't just wearing purple, it's educating others. Advocacy isn't just protesting, it's protecting your energy. Empowerment isn't just speaking out, it's honoring your journey even when it's quiet. You don't have to be loud to be powerful. You don't have to be cured to be whole. You don't have to be understood by everyone to know yourself. Living with lupus is like being a lighthouse in the fog. You might feel isolated, but when your light reaches someone else trying to navigate the storm, you guide them, even as you stand still. And that light, that's what makes you a warrior. As we wrap up, here's what we can do to make a difference. Learn the signs and symptoms of lupus. Share something you've learned from this episode. Check in on someone with a chronic illness. Set boundaries. Say no without guilt. Rest without shame. That's advocacy too. And if you are a fellow warrior, celebrate your strengths this month. Not because lupus is easy, but because you're still here, still learning, still loving, still rising. Before we leave, I would like to close with a special portion of the show I call Healing Heartbeats. This is where we allow ourselves to wallow in sorrow. Give yourself 3 minutes to laugh, cry, scream, cuss, or just sit in silence. Whatever you need to do to feel it, do it. Let the depression in for only 3 minutes. Once you've reached 3 minutes, compartmentalize it and get back to living. This is a rinse and repeat behavior. You cannot let depression take over, because when it does, it will not let go. When we hear about the passing of someone, they have the day they were born and the day they pass away. There is a dash in the middle. It's not a long line, but a short dash. That dash represents your life. Go live in spite of having a chronic illness. Don't let your condition stop you. And that brings us to the end of this episode, our deep, wide, personal exploration of what lupus really is. It's not just a diagnosis, but the experience, the impact, the strength it demands. I hope you feel seen, heard, and maybe even a little lighter, just knowing you're not carrying it all alone. Lupus doesn't just challenge our bodies, it reshapes our lives. It teaches us to advocate, to slow down, to honor the soft and strong parts of ourselves. It asks us to be flexible, to be fierce, to be forgiving. And while it takes a lot, it also gives us clarity, purpose, and community. The journey can be lonely, but it doesn't have to be silent. If nothing else, let this episode be a reminder that you matter, your pain matters, your healing matters, and your voice can change the way lupus is seen and supported around the world. Remember, you have the strength, the heart, and the support to continue your journey. Be safe.